So let's talk about injuries. I think, and dealing with injuries, especially in your 50s and 60s, because this is, I think, probably one of the biggest problems you're going to face. Certainly I am, when it comes to sort of staying fit and healthy. As we get older, I think injuries and working around them and dealing with them and sort of adapting to them is key now, I think, because let's face it, the older we get, the more likelihood that we're going to have some issues somewhere. You know, things just start to wear out. And if you're watching this and you're 50 and 60 and you've got no pain, you've got no issues, then please leave me a comment and tell me what you're doing, because I'm desperate to know. But for the rest of us, for most of us, the mere mortals, we've got issues. Could be neck, could be your back, could be your knees, your shoulders, ankles. You know, things just start to wear out. Wear and tear starts to come in, and our body's just so much more vulnerable to injury. I mean, I've had it where you just be sat in the wrong position on the sofa for a couple hours. You get up, and something's tweaked, something's not right. So it's a constant battle, and I've had to deal with this personally over the last few years. For someone who's trained over 30 years consistently, and I was able just to like as we do when you're younger, just some things that happen, you get a bit of pain here and there, a little injury, you just train it off, work through it, and it would go. Your body could deal with it. But as I got into my late 40s, these things just weren't going away. They weren't going away, and they're getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where I actually couldn't train anymore. I had to stop. I couldn't do anything. I was just breaking down that often. Not even when I was training, I was just breaking down in general. That I realised that I had to do something about it and change what I was doing. So my whole regime changed. And that took a few years to get through. And obviously there's a real mental issue there as well. Dealing with that, having to cope with the frustration of an injury. And also the loss of confidence when you do come back from an injury. What can I do now? Can I still train the same? Is it going to come back? So there's all that to sort of deal with as well. So injuries have been a big problem for me over the last few years, and I've had to learn how to deal with them now. And going forward, this is a sort of approach that I've got now, which I hopefully will, you can resonate with you, and maybe help you deal with any issues that you've got as well. So first and foremost, I think you have to embrace the fact that there's a really high percentage, if you haven't already, you're going to get injured. If you want to keep fit and healthy, you still want to be progressing, you still want to be doing things that you enjoy, then there's a good chance you're going to get injured at some point. And I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to embrace it, because just going into denial about it and just keep going and going and going, and then all of a sudden something happens. I don't think the best way to go about it. I think embrace it, accept that it's going to happen, and therefore be mindful when you are training that am I doing too much? Is this too much? Am I actually taking care of myself properly, or am I just setting myself up for a big problem down the line here? So I think that's the first, for me, that was the first sort of mindset shift I had to do, is really sort of think, okay, injuries are here, I'm not immortal, I'm not some superhero. I'm going to get injured, and they're going to have to deal with them. Okay, deal with it. So I used to just ignore them and go into down about them. Now I got into a situation where I'm proactive, so I'll have regular massages, I'll do a lot of yoga, I will go and see an osteopath once a month. And over the last 2 or 3 years, I've dealt with all the major ones. Now that's still ongoing, and I've probably know to myself that I'm probably going to have to keep doing this, maybe for life. The stretching and the mobility work, and maybe just seeing a practitioner every now and then. I think that's going to be pretty much locked in for life. I'm hopefully not, but but I've accepted it. I've got my head around that. That's fine, because I just think that's a good. If that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. So that's the first thing, is deal with the shit you've got already, right? If it keeps coming back, if it's not going anywhere, if you keep doing stuff and you just keep breaking down, then it's got to be dealt with. It's just not going to go away. So that's the first thing. Man up, get the shit done. Go and see the people you need to see and get it sorted out. I think once you've got that base around, but at the same time, this is where I went wrong, is when I'd have stopped completely. Now I had to for a little while, but I think I was too slow to get back into training, because I had the fear factor, oh, I don't want to, I'll keep breaking down, so, but I think once you've sort of got over the initial problem, or you've got it under control, should we say, I still think you need to be doing something, you need to work around it. Because doing nothing at all is just not an option for me anymore at all. So that's the second thing, is really, injuries do come, accept them, but also understand that I've got to find a way of still working around them until they get sorted out. But the third thing I've learned, aside from this, is understanding my body, tuning into sort of what I think is that's okay, but a problem. Learning to rest properly when something does crop up. And third, I think it's more about learning to sort of progress a little bit more slow than you would normally do. I relate it again back to strength training, because that's what I'm doing at the moment. But so if I'm trying to put a bit of weight onto certain exercises to keep that overload on there, keep the muscles working harder, I do now just very, very small increments, because I don't want to overload, go too much too soon, and I just do it in small ways, and I'll test that new level for a bit, feels okay, then again another small down, and that's the way it is. And I've had to accept that my progress will be slower than it used to be, and that's fine, because it's better than doing nothing. It's just finding that edge where you can push, but at the same time not create too much of a stress that you're going to cause a big problem. And obviously as well, especially around this, again back to strength training, warm up and cool down are now super important, just to make sure that your body's fully ready for whatever activity that you're about to undertake. So I hope that's give you a few ideas today. Please obviously drop me a comment below if you're dealing with injuries, how you're dealing with them, because I'd love to know what's going on. Please share and subscribe and all that wonderful stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot.